listening to the Transformations with Jayne podcast. I'm your host, Jayne Nakata, a New Zealander living her best life in Fukushima, Japan. I'm a podcast consultant and the creator of Pod Launch with Jayne, a system that helps you create your dream podcast without all the drama and hassle, leaving you more free time to do the things you love to do. This show is for people who want to hear stories of women who are doing amazing things here in Japan and across the world. You'll find loads of inspiration for how you can live your best life wherever you are. I'm glad you're here. Let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Transformations with Jayne podcast. I'm your host, Jayne Nakata, coming to you from Fukushima Prefecture here in Japan. Well, today we are doing a video version of this podcast. So if you like YouTube and you like to watch on YouTube, you can see my smiling face coming to you over on YouTube. My guest today, Miyako Hazama, is also a YouTuber, so we decided to do a video version today. So if you prefer audio, keep listening here. There's no reason to go over onto YouTube to see anything in particular except us talking. But yeah, you can also find us on YouTube as well for this episode. So today we are talking about the topic of peri-menopause and menopause. And this is something that I have been really grappling with these last 3 or 4 months in particular. So I really wanted to bring Miyako-san onto the show to talk about it in more depth because she does help women with her knowledge of various different natural ways you can help to alleviate the symptoms and not fight against your body as you go through this process that we all must go through at some point. So we are not doctors. I will just say that a little bit of a disclaimer there. We are not doctors. But I think Miyako-san can definitely help you in some ways. And she wants you to know that there are so many options available to you. So it is a great thing to have options, whether it's HRT that you decide to go with or something else. There are many options for women who are going through peri-menopause and menopause. So that's what we talk about today. Before we get into the conversation, I want to share my experience over the last 3 months because it has been quite a lot to deal with in a short space of time. And so I think the first time I noticed that something was odd or I wasn't quite feeling myself was 2 or 3 years ago when I really just started noticing that my self-confidence was ebbing away, or the confidence that I did have was just slowly diminishing, and things that I felt were normal before just didn't seem like something I could do anymore. I wasn't as interested in things. I didn't have the same levels of energy. I still had reasonable levels of energy, but it was definitely ebbing. So that was, 2 or 3 years of that going. I'd have migraines, which I hadn't really had before, ever. So I did a few things. I tried to keep eating healthy, but it was a real struggle, so much of a struggle that it has never been before. I would also be like sleeping loads. It was really hard to get up in the morning, where I'm actually a morning person, an early bird. I really like getting up early, but it was such a struggle. I'd be sleeping until the last minute and then dragging myself out of bed, which is unusual for me. So many things were kind of off, and I happened to figure out that, this is what is happening to me. But it was about 3 months ago when I had this major turn of, and I forgot one more thing that used to happen was I would get these sort of mini panic attacks, and they weren't full-blown panic attacks, but they weren't far off it. And so I'd get triggered by absolutely nothing. I'd just be sitting talking to someone, and the content of the things they were saying was not anything that would trigger a panic attack. I was perfectly safe, and suddenly I would just have this feeling like that, the heart palpitations, the struggling to sort of breathe normally, and then wanting to run from the room. And once it even happened when I was driving the car, and I don't know why it happened. It wasn't nothing had happened. I was just driving down the road, so these things were happening, and it was getting harder and harder to manage. But it was about 3 months ago that I had this really, really tough episode. I have never experienced anything like this in my life, where I went into the biggest depression, the deepest depression I've ever experienced. I mean, I had postnatal baby blues for a few days. And, obviously I've experienced some really difficult things in my life, but I've never felt that level of depression before. And I could see myself being depressed, right? I could see it. I was like, what is going on here? Because everything just felt really gray, like the world was gray, and it was spring. So it was sakura season. There were beautiful flowers, and I would have been thoroughly enjoying it. It's one of my favorite times of the year. I usually walk around with, like going, wow, look how beautiful it is. And I'm so happy to see the sakura again. And I was walking around going, oh, it's a sakura. Yeah, great. I was like, what is wrong with me? And I felt like all of the joy had been sucked out of the world. I had a party that I was that was for me and for my co-host of my other podcast, Catherine, and on the Jandals in Japan podcast. And I was like, ah, party. What? It was such a weird feeling. I really hadn't experienced anything like that before. At the party, I forced myself to go. I was standing there and my body was just aching and aching and aching. And I would sit on the sofa and just be like, oh, please don't make me have to move. My body just hurts so much. And I hadn't even done anything, I just wanted to be asleep in bed. I did not want to be dealing with daily life. I did not want to be parenting, did not want to be working. Really, really deep funk that I found myself in. And it was part of my cycle. So thank goodness it didn't last for too long. But that sort of body aching feeling and lack of energy, really struggling to walk even 1 kilometer when I used to, easily walk 3 or 4 with my dog and things, was really a wake up call. So I decided to visit my gynecologist and say, I see that you deal with konenki, which is the Japanese word for menopause. And, and they were like, oh, hot flashes. Have you had hot flashes? And I'm like, no, hardly any. In fact, the only hot flashes I would get would be after I'd been having wine or, drinking alcohol. And then in bed at night, I would have a hot flash. That would be the only thing. Otherwise, no hot flashes, right? So, but I said, but I have foggy brain and feeling depressed, body aches, very emotional, up and down, raging, feeling like, yeah, so angry, feeling so sad for no apparent reason. And so I'm like, give me the HRT. Like, just because I was in such a bad place, I'm just like, give me something that's going to make me feel better. Surely that's HRT. And they were like, no, we don't do that. I'm like, what? So apparently for them, you need to start somewhere else first, which they said, oh, well, let's give you this stuff. It's called Equal or something. And it's soy isoflavone, sort of concentrated isoflavones. And you take this, twice a day, and let's see how you go. And they also gave me kampo, and they gave me all these other things. And I'm like, damn you and your bloody kampo. I don't want your crappy stuff. I want some real deal. But they wouldn't give me anything else. And I'm like, okay. So I took this stuff and I went home. And so I Googled this stuff that they're giving me, these soy isoflavones. And I was like, oh, well, it does. I looked at the American website and I looked at various things. It's like, well, it seems like if you take it for long enough, it does help. Well, let's at least start with this while we figure out other options. And so I started taking these things. And within a week, I was feeling completely different. And I was like, okay, something's working here. So let's just keep going. So for now, I'm just doing this because it's working and I'm keeping going. And also, once I started to feel a bit better, I was able to start doing other things. So while I was feeling so rubbish, like no energy, just feeling really depressed and awful, like even just cooking any food was a mission. I was just like, can we order pizza? Like, have some cheese on toast for dinner, please. Like, please don't make me cook anything. When I started to get my energy back, I was able to say, okay, let's try and eat some better food. Let's try and cut out some of these things that they tell you that your body can no longer handle once your estrogen levels start to drop, which is dairy and gluten and alcohol, of course. And so cutting out some of those things slowly and in recent times more so cutting them out. And yeah, it's taken 3 months, but I feel like if that low point was a 2 or a 3, I'm feeling maybe a 6 or a 7 now. It's a huge improvement. So I wanted to share that story just because this is just how I went about it. And if you want to go and get HRT, go and get your HRT. Find somewhere that will give it to you. This is what's working for me now. And so I'm working on making the spiral continue upwards rather than downwards. So now we're on a slight upward upward spiral, working on what I can do to do that. So I have to say, in the last 2 weeks where I've really knuckled down on not having dairy and gluten, I'm feeling even more energy coming back to me, and I've lost the sort of being addicted to the sugar and needing the sugar hit and then having the low blood sugar and then feeling yuck and needing to eat more sugar. I'm feeling much more on an even keel, and I feel that is also helping everything else to be on an even keel. So I feel like the food and what I'm doing is helping everything else, and now I feel like I have more energy to be able to go and do the walking that I want to do. Right, I'm up to 2.5 kilometers now from like dragging myself around with just 1 kilometer before. So easily walking 2.5 kilometers. So yeah, I'm definitely noticing that upward spiral. So I hope that by me sharing this story, this will encourage you to, one, keep listening to what Miyako has to say, but also just help you to maybe stop and think, is this what's, holding me back or making me feel crappy at the moment? Maybe it's not this, maybe it is something to do with the fact that I'm probably going through peri-menopause now. And, just to give you some numbers, I'm 43, and I definitely noticed it when I was, just turning, what would it be, like 40? Came very obvious when I was 40, but I think it probably been coming along for a year or two before that, so late 30s. So it can happen fairly early to you as well. And if you haven't started yet, then this is a great time to say, well, how could I better prepare myself so that when it does come along, that I'm ready for it and I have some great things in place to help me. So without further ado, that was a very long intro, but I just wanted to share that before we get into the conversation with Miyako. And she tells us more about what the things that she does and the discoveries that she's had along the way with how she helps women. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, Miyako. Welcome to the Transformations with Jayne podcast. It's great to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your fantastic show, Jayne, today. I'm super excited to have a deep dive conversation.
Yeah, thank you for coming along. And for those who do not know who Miyako is, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, where you live, what you do, and who you help.
Yes, so my name is Miyako Hazama. I live in Yokohama, Japan, and I help women in menopause or peri-menopause let go of their relief naturally by tapping into the little-known Asian energetic fountain of youth.
And the energetic fountain of youth. Amazing.
Fountain.
Yes.
Yes. So have you ever heard about like a menopause or peri-menopause and women suffering around you and your friends?
Oh, I am suffering. So this is why we are here today. I'm so thrilled to be talking with you about this. And a lot of my friends are also going through this right now, and a lot of my listeners as well, I know, are going through this right now. So really great, timely topic to be speaking to you today.
Yes, and I would love to share the epiphany I had with my coach 2 years ago. And that happened while we had a morning chat, conversation. And she shared me a lot of like things that make her felt like hell during
She felt like hell.
Yeah,
That sounds about
perimenopause
familiar.
and
Yeah.
menopause that happened to
Yeah.
her even in her 30s. And
In
I
her
said
30s.
to her, well, I never had hot flashes. And I was before like 50, 59. So I never had hot flashes. I I don't know what it's like to have that. And when I spoke about it, she said, "What?" And I can't believe that. So I, her eyeball has like a popped out of her head,
Popped out
and
of her head.
yeah, and
Yeah.
why is that possible? So
Mm.
at that moment, I had like chills, like epiphany.
Mm.
Okay, I've been doing this the work, the breathing work that I would love to share for
Mm.
over 34 years while I was working in the corporate.
Mm.
And this like method I learned and the ancient aging wisdom, like practices that I incorporate every day has helped me go through that. And so, okay, maybe there's some like area that I can contribute
Mm.
to help women, not only in Japan, but globally
Mm.
suffering from this severe symptom that is impacting the quality of their life, the family life, and on the work life, of course,
Mm.
and how I can contribute. So that's where my journey began
Yeah.
on
2
this
years ago.
perimenopause 2
Mm.
years ago. And before that, I left corporate at the
Okay.
age of 56. Kind
Mm.
of in Japan, it's called early
Ah,
retirement.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, and because I wanted to pursue something, the calling that I had, I didn't know what, but because of the practice that I incorporate of the breathing and seeing people, thousands of people, while I was in the apprenticeship with a Japanese key expert for over 34 years,
Mm.
that brought me to the awareness of, okay, how can bring that kind of self-healing
Mm-hmm.
into our daily practice? So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I left corporate.
Oh, wow. Key healing. Japanese key healing, you mentioned.
Right.
What's that?
Yes. It's the energy healing, but it's the foundation is the breathing, the
Mm.
deeper breathing that we allow our body to really take in not only oxygen, but the energy to let that flow. And
Mm.
we can have this deep dive conversation after I think we can share other topics around
Mm.
perimenopause,
Mm.
but that's how I help because I
Mm.
wanted to provide like option. There are varieties of options now available aside from HRT, like hormone treatment or
Sure.
supplementation or medication, but there
Mm.
are some natural way that maybe support, or maybe you can select which is if you feel better, then that's
Mm.
the option that I pursue. And I invite some women who are interested in this kind of natural healing.
Right, right. Hmm. Yeah, it's great to have options, right? Wherever we are. Maybe it's go to the doctor, get HRT. Maybe it's pursue something like key breathing. Yeah, so I was just wondering, is it breathing? Because I do plenty of breathing, but it hasn't been
Yes.
helping me. So what is the difference? So it's more around the breathing and energy. Is that what you're
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Mm.
And
Okay. Mm.
there's a different level of breathing. So I
Mm.
mean, inviting people to have a deeper level of breathing of
Mm.
like soul breathing from the soul like a tree. So we
Oh
can
my
talk about
goodness.
it later.
Mm.
But I
Wow.
think
Yeah.
that's kind of bring a different level of awareness, and the breathing is endless. So that's endless meaning limitless, meaning
Limitless,
that you
right.
can
Mhm.
discover your own depth of breathing once you get aware of that. So that's
Right.
something of the
Mm.
one of the pillar that I have on the foundation
Mm.
for our daily energy like accelerators.
Hmm.
But we can apply that even on this like dealing with perimenopause issues.
Hmm. Hmm. So first off, we have to talk about what are the symptoms that people might be experiencing that could, well, potentially be because of perimenopause, but they haven't realized that that's what it is. So that maybe they, for example, I'll give you my list. It's quite long. These are the ones that I had, and I didn't realize for a long time what was going on. So first of all, it was very insidious, right? It didn't just hit me one day like a truck. It was very gradual. It was so gradual that I didn't notice for a long time. I just noticed my confidence ebbing away slowly. And so things that I wouldn't have any trouble doing before, like speaking in front of people, I suddenly didn't feel like I could do it, or, I didn't want to put myself out there anymore like I used to. And it was very, very gradual when this happened. And so, yeah, the sort of ebbing of confidence was one thing. Losing my just strength and endurance, just feeling like I had no energy to do simple things like walk my dog, where I used to run 5Ks. I used to lift weights. And then I got to a point where I couldn't do any of it. All I could do was sit on the sofa, and I had body pains just going through my body. I didn't have a fever. I didn't have a cold. I just had so many body aches. And I would sit on the sofa and my body would be aching and I wouldn't know why. It hadn't done anything. That was sort of a little bit later, but yeah, the initial ones were just that ebbing of confidence and disinterest in things that I'd always been interested in or liked, and relying more and wanting and craving more sweet things and carbohydrates. Like vegetables, get away from me. I do not want to eat vegetables. As a 40-something-year-old woman, that's kind of like you're sounding like a toddler, like a baby, right? But all I wanted to eat was sweets and carbs. Vegetables, yuck. Yeah, so that was what the first sort of things that I really noticed. What are some of the other ones that you see that people might not know could actually be perimenopause?
Yes, and I love how you shared about not only the physical like appearance of the body pains, but how the mood
Yeah, the
changes or
feeling.
losing ebbing of the confidence. And I would love to actually, before moving on to the specific symptoms, just for the people who are not sure about like what's a perimenopause or menopause, of course, people might know what's a menopause. It's a kind of first
Yeah.
anniversary of your last period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an end of your fertility process, but that happens. But perimenopause is happening before that. So people generally have experienced perimenopause around the age of 40 to 44.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays like 4 years, but it could last for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And because of this perimenopause transitional period, we see the decline of fertility hormone, like estrogen and progesterone. But what is happening during this perimenopause is kind of a like fluctuation. So there might be a strike of estrogen happening, and then it's also combined with your menstrual cycle. So it's like feel like really confusing. What's happening?
Yeah.
So the way you described about it's coming like gradually in like shade of something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a ghost, but it's like gradually coming over. It's not attacking you one day, but it's okay. Something is
so
different.
gradual. Yeah.
It's so subtle,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes unnoticeable.
Mm.
And some could really navigate those symptoms with like no notice at all, like myself.
Mm-hmm.
But some have hit drastically. So it's really, every woman is different because of their like past experience of whether they have taken pills or the diet or whatever. But those are like subtle and coming gradually to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great to really just to know that. And aside from going back to your question, aside from the point that you described, it's happening around like all over the body.
Yeah.
But what I typically really see is like the migraines, headache.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a strike what moment, but it's kind of continuously coming up repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you feel so tense around your head, and it also comes with like a forgetfulness.
Yes, the mind fog,
Foggy,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
foggy brain, because those female hormones have a lot to do, like contribution to not only our fertility, but our immune system, cardiovascular, or all these all that part of the body
Yeah,
are
pretty
relying
much
on it.
every
Yes,
part of
every
your
part of
body,
the body.
right?
So
Yeah.
it could happen to all parts, and from that specific symptom, what I also see is like a burning mouth syndrome. This is
Burning
really
mouth.
serious.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
like too hot and sometimes too hurtful to eat taking food. So
Wow.
extreme case, they cannot
Eat
have
well. Yeah.
like only the liquid. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the worst case that I'm actually helping now for a lady, but the burning mouth, throat. And also what comes also is about your neck or palpitation, heart
Yeah, heart
palpitation.
palpitations.
Yes, heart palpitation, and also the like a skin dryness.
Yes, dry skin.
Have you
Had
ever
that one.
experienced that?
Yes, very
Yeah,
dry
dry.
skin and
And
always feeling sort of, yeah, dry mouth or something. Yeah.
yes, and you also mentioned about the tendency of like a food craving changes for you talked about the sweet, but it happened in various type of situation. Like you can not have like some women with even experience like a loss of weight rather than like having a lot of belly fat. It's a typical, but some women experience really can't eat anything a certain
Right.
period. And also the nail brittles, like
Ah,
nail
yeah.
break
Hair falling
easy.
out,
Yeah.
nails
And
brittle.
hair is very, very serious issue, hair falling and thinning.
Mm.
So I'm also helping women for that like hair issue, because it's like emotional.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Very
shocking
upsetting.
to
Yeah.
see, one day you have like so much hair you see on the brush,
Yeah.
and like on the sink, oh, what's happening to me, right? So those are symptoms, and with that like a low libido,
No libido.
version of
Yeah.
dryness,
Mm-hmm.
which we are not talk a lot,
Nobody
about
wants to say that out
almost,
loud. That's
but
right.
that's true, right?
Yep.
So I think those are the things that like are coming at the appearance to our body changes. But also what you mentioned is very important about our mood changes, like loss of energy, feeling fatigue. It's like some of the like dust accumulated. Some women told me that like I feel some dust like accumulating in my body every single day, and it feels like in her like early 30s, or when she thought she was in prime, it was easy to recover. So
Sure.
she had to work late at night, work early in the morning. It was okay, hopping around. But now, no matter, how much she tried and do the exercise or diet, oh, my energy is not coming up right. And it's difficult to stay in a consistent level of like energy. That is very, very common.
Yeah. I feel it. I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm sharing is that if you are feeling these kind of like symptom, okay, I might be that. Like, that is not like a negative warning, but for many women, it's like, okay, I'm not alone. I'm not alone on this journey. And okay, just to know and just be aware that that might come up, make them feel a little bit like lighter.
Yeah.
Because they thought, okay, what's happening to my body? So what often happen is that, okay, they don't go to the doctors, and some the doctors sometimes like turn out to be like mean.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that, but some are mean and okay, you are aging. Oh no, never said that, right? But
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah, I think there's a real lack of understanding in the medical profession of women of a certain age would come to you with a burning mouth and you're treating the burning mouth, but not potentially the reason, which is the lack of hormones or whatever that's happening to them that's creating
Yes.
this burning mouth, or what, insert your particular thing you're struggling with here. People go like the heart palpitations, like Oprah recently said she went to various doctors she thought she was dying, to get all these things for her heart checked, but it was just that that's one of the things that happened to her when she hit perimenopause and etc. So yeah, working on on the hormone side of balancing or whatever you're doing to get through those symptoms is what's needed, not beta blockers and what is the things they give to heart patients, right? People who are receiving treatment for actual heart issues. Yeah.
Yes. So I also think that thanks to Oprah, she is bravely
Yes, thank you,
opening up
Oprah,
her own
right?
story, right? And many women, even like celebrities, started to open up their stories. And I think that's that's positive aspect of sharing
Yes.
and supporting each other. And like you said, what's like triggering is that those symptoms, as you just mentioned, are really similar to other like real illnesses type of thing. So what they often experience is going to the doctor, is doing the exam, blood testing, all these type, and they have to go to the separate section of the, like when they visit big
Yeah, going to the
hospital,
cardiologist instead of
cardiologist,
the
gynecologist,
yeah.
all these are different, and they do the separate exam, and you start to like get scary. And that's the tricky part of making this worse. So,
Right.
okay, you start to like digging deep into not your inner strength, but starting to like trying to find what's wrong with me.
Right.
What's wrong with me? So that question even make that situation worse and stressful. And they
Yeah,
feel
it's
like,
worrying,
okay,
right?
I'm going into the dark tunnel and there's no light I see. So that's the worst scenario of just not knowing, and you are going to the doctor visit every single week, and then you get exhausted.
Yeah, especially if they can't find anything wrong with you, like, oh, I don't see anything wrong with your heart, or your ECG is fine, and all of these things, but you are experiencing these pains, or you are actually experiencing these heart palpitations, and the doctors are saying, well, you're fine.
Yeah,
What does
so
that do to you? That's
yes,
you're
and
not fine.
you're not
It's just in the
fine.
wrong place.
So
Yeah.
I have to share this data with you that National Institute of Health said that like nearly half of women experience some kind of like physical or mental exhaustion during this period. So if you are experiencing this, you are really not alone. I'm saying that to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of like minimum, isn't it? Like everybody's going to be
Yes,
experiencing that
because
pretty
yes,
much. Yeah.
everybody, and not many are like claiming that. So just think about it,
And just thinking our lives, oh, I'm so busy. I have 2 kids. My kids play baseball, and then now my parents are getting older and I need to look after them. And I'm at this time of life when life is super busy. My career is at a certain level. You would blame it on a lot of things, but yeah, the changes going on in your body are what is at the core of all of this. So yeah, it's great to shine a light on it. Let's talk about this, because even just sort of going through this recent journey myself and then discussing it with my mother. So I was like, so mum, what happened to you? And she was like, oh, I was fine. And I'm like, really? Because I'm really not fine. How is it that our DNA are completely different here? And then I said, so do you know any of the symptoms of perimenopause? And she was like, hot flashes. And I'm like, and that was the only one that she knew. And
Wow.
I'm sorry, Mum, if I'm getting the story wrong and you're listening and you're like, that's not how it went, but this is how I remember the conversation anyway. And then I said, well, no, actually, there's a list of 30 something symptoms and they include this, 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 and this, and this, and this. And she's like, oh, well, if you say that, then perhaps I did have some things. But also at that particular time was a really tough time for her in that my father was going through his cancer journey, which he passed away from. And so
I
she was living
see.
that at the same time and obviously not focusing on, this feeling tired and run down and emotional is because of my hormones
Mm-hmm.
depleting. It's, my husband has cancer right now and we're in panic stations here, so it was difficult for her to judge that. So I was like, okay, well, that's not useful to me now to use that information. As my mum said that she didn't have any problems with menopause because potentially a lot of women didn't know at what it was even in my mother's generation, right? They knew hot flashes. That's a very obvious one, right?
Yes.
Mm. And so that's what a lot of people start with. Oh, it's the hot flash. I don't have hot flashes. I'm fine. Everything, all of the mood or feeling depressed or things is something else. Yeah. But it,
Yes.
potentially not. Yeah. Mm.
Your mom's story tells us a lot of things because I think for many women during this period, there are a lot going on. I could
Mm. Mm.
imagine, every
Mm.
time I talk to my clients and all the women that I share these experiences, they have the work responsibility has broadened so
Yeah.
much, right? And well, that's a good thing for
Yeah. That's
Japan
what we
for
want,
the
right?
that we want, but it's real. But at the same time, inside our house, now what's going on our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to take care of your kids
Yeah.
still.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's a male participation on this like housekeeping stuff right now, but many women have to take on as a responsibility house cleaning or cooking or whatever, shopping, and also the aging parents is
Yes.
real.
Yes.
So we have to support our parents and also the pets. So
Pets.
pets
Yes.
get ill sometime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Aging
oftentimes maybe
pets
right?
is
Aging
something.
pets
Yeah.
is something. So when I have the conversation with women, I kind of list out all the things they are on the task list. And we got, oh my goodness, like there's 50 things
50
going
things.
on, like
Yeah.
on a daily basis,
Yeah.
including her work tasks, right?
Oh,
And
that's
maybe
in addition to the work tasks or
in addition
including
to,
in addition.
typically in addition,
In
but
addition. Yeah.
there's a work task
Mm.
maybe included. So maybe that person is not coming up to other tasks she has on her mind, but just
Mm-hmm.
listing out what she thinks that is under her responsibility or something she
Yes.
has to do
Mm.
today or maybe tomorrow or this week.
Mm.
I get sick. I
Yeah.
just like doing the
You're feeling
interview.
exhausted just writing it all
Oh,
down.
right.
Mm.
Oh my goodness, I
Mm.
can't just hold that. And this is
Mm.
happening. And this kind of stress is also the big trigger.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't help. Yeah. Mm.
Yes, and this doesn't help and even worsen the
Mm.
symptoms.
Right.
So just to know that, okay, there are a list of things that we have to do, but how I can manage it more in the
Mm.
ease or
Mm.
less efforting or whatever. And
Mm.
doing that work is also really helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's something you could do today, right? Write it all down and look and see, oh my God, this is what I'm expecting myself to do or expecting myself to be responsible for. Can we make some changes here? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because
Mm.
of these things, you cannot really listen to your bodies.
Right. It's very noisy,
So
isn't it, when you have
noisy, so noisy.
so many
And what's the
things?
priority going on in your conscious
Mm.
mind?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you might not be hearing the body's like cue or sign that,
Right.
okay, I want rest
Mm-hmm.
or I want something, no, I want more sleep whatever, or, I'm feeling not good, right? Those are the things we can suppress, cover up like easily because we have another priority going on. So there are many women who feel like, okay, when I share these kind of symptoms, I might have experienced that, or like that type of thing. This is real.
Yeah. 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 Interesting, isn't it? Oh my goodness.
But what's so interesting, and I love why I love supporting these age range women, is that once like you start to change, now your kid change, your partner, the relationship, all these are like a ripple effect. So that's why the women listening to this episode, I really honor you. I like to send honor and love because they are doing so great. You are doing so great, and just honor that, right? And when you like
I'm feeling
navigate,
emotional. Yeah.
yes, because it's you are the last person to really honor yourself.
Yeah.
And I would love to send that like, you are the sunshine.
You are
Glowing, right?
Yeah.
So it's just those symptoms might appear during that period of transitional period, but just think about what if you know what's good for your body, if you come to know what works for you and what excites you, then just think about the next decades, like a few decades of 20, 30 years after, because we are living in the age of longevity.
Yeah.
This might be the beautiful opportunity that, like a gift, I would like to use the word universe, gift from the universe, saying that, okay, just take a moment to see what's working for you in this like a beautiful seasonal changes, and how you can design or you could create your own life. And what would you like to do, not only with your work or life, but with your body too?
I think it's really, and this is something that I've had a realization of in the last just a few weeks. It's a very timely realization that you feel like things are out of control with your body. Like, I'm on this roller coaster and I can't control it. I don't know when I'm going to be up. I don't know when I'm going to be down. I don't know when I'm going to be crying my eyes out. I don't know when I'm going to be screaming at someone, or exhausted and I can't get off the sofa or whatever. That it feels like that, but there are things you can do to get back that control, and you don't just have to let the roller coaster run away.
I
You can
love
start
that.
driving that roller coaster and taking the more scenic way rather than the
I
highway.
love that insight, because just think about, we are in a roller coaster, and if you want to really enjoy the ride of like up and down, we can just focusing on that up and down. But when you just see that like a movie scene and people having enjoying the wonderful like roller coaster journey, then the picture that you see in yourself changes. So I immediately like had a vision of seeing that on a movie, of that someone is on the roller coaster. And it's a beautiful like way of seeing what's going on in your body, and you are not losing your control. And I would love to share this with my clients, that why not see this as a sign from your body? And so if you are experiencing some migraines, yes, there's a hormone decline, up and down, like fluctuation happening. But is there anything going on in your head?
Yeah, why migraines? Like, why not
Yes.
body pain,
And
right? Or something else?
would be the pattern that recurring? And very, very interestingly, when I did this exercise with my clients, they find that, okay, it's not only like hormone that are messing up. If you are having like a balance, you know that your body is working exactly for you, not against you.
Yeah.
And okay, this comes up before my presentation, or this came up when I think about where I could like have the new residence for my aging parents.
Right.
Or just think about all this noise and you cannot sleep when you have that. But it raises like another level of migraine. So when you just know that, okay, maybe I might be unconsciously, what's a little bit tricky is that you might be thinking that on the back of your head, not intentionally. So you seem like you are focusing on the current project, have a deadline, but back on your mind, you
in
have
the back of your
another
mind,
thing about it.
things,
and also maybe something, okay, I have something like I want to live my purpose or whatever, and there's something wrong in my life going on and you haven't noticed it yet. So you are just thinking, okay, where am I wrong? And you have a project going on. And just noticing that make them relieve.
Right.
And that alleviates their menopause. And now they know how to manage, like go ahead of what might happen so that, okay, I'm going to have good rest, before that presentation or whatever. Just change your agenda a little bit. So this is something also that can be done during this period.
Yeah, I saw something recently, research or something, some documentary or something about how you would think that the hormones, estrogen, it comes from your ovaries, right? So you think that your ovaries are sort of controlling all of this, but actually it's the brain. It's not the ovaries, it's the brain. So hello, brain. Time to have a chat about how we're approaching things. Yeah.
Yes, and that's those scientific evidence is coming up, and there's like a hormonal regulation using like those medication. That's one thing, but there's another level of scientific evidence coming up, like hormone is regulating, but hormone is only chemical. And one just think about, this is like an Asian philosophy, but just think about a hormone. Of course, there's a decline because we don't need to bear children like at the age of like 90. I don't want that.
No, we do not.
You do not want. So it's end. Something come to an end is not a bad thing, right? Because there's another level.
There's a purpose.
So, there's a purpose. And that next stage, that just think about how body is really adjusting the balance. And those people, like older in the age, like their life was shorter. That was real, but there was less menopause or peri-menopause. But and even in Japan, this over the past 20 years, the level of this like appearance of the symptoms has been increased. So even in Japan, although compared to Western population, the women experiencing like hot flashes and night sweat is lower. The percentage is lower, but this is like increasing
even in Japan.
level, even in Japan. So currently like 40% of women in 50 in Japan are experiencing some kind of menopause. And also 30% of women in 40s are experiencing that, right? So these are the things, but just think about how our, like the wisdom that our old age generation have been experiencing, like eating the balanced food, exercise, not do much of the social media, not like watching like a PC screen working at the middle of the night.
What were they doing?
Oh yes, what were they doing? So that's something of that we can think about.
And So in Japan, I think you were saying that we have access to a lot of good food, right? A lot of things that can really help us. What if someone wants to be eating more foods that are going to help them to be more balanced and to sail through perimenopause and sail through one more time and sail through perimenopause with more ease? What do you recommend?
Yes, especially for the food, well, energetic nourishment is one of the pillars that I teach, but it's always comes down to eating the balanced diet. So from the Eastern like philosophy, there are like yin energy and yang energy. So warm food and cold food. So I'm inviting to, although you might not like veggies,
Not at the moment, no.
Yeah, not at the moment, but it's good.
Yeah.
And it's helpful. So what I suggest is have that fresh veggies. And of course, in the area of Fukushima, you have a beautiful, like fresh fish available.
Yes. Yeah.
I love that. So these are the vegetables and fresh fish, or meat is good because like a good quality protein, I suggest. And with a good, like a balance. So not like drastic.
Not just vegetables, right?
Yeah, just vegetables, not basic.
Yeah.
Like less sweet, I recommend. But if you want to have a little tiny bit of sweet, that's okay, right? You can adjust in 3 days. So
sure.
Yes, find what works for you. But also, I will inviting you to have this tofu, like isoflavone. It's a kind of
yes.
Have you ever heard of that? Like a mimic of estrogen.
Yes.
And some school of thought say that that is maybe the reason why Asian women have less like hot flashes or night sweats. But for me, I like tonu, like milk, soy milk, and I would take that daily. And for the lunch and my dinner, I would make sure to have like a balance of the yin and yang balance of the food, like hot warm food like onion, the garlic, and also even the yin, like cool veggies. I use it as a blend of the cooking style of all these, like a little bit of trick to make that food balance. But what really tells you is that your body loves it.
Right. Yeah. How does your body respond?
Yes.
Yeah.
So because you're living in Japan, just think about what's the fresh whole food or whatever available for you. And you feel like, oh, not just filling your stomach. It's a more of the fulfilling emotionally, appreciating every bite. That I recommend.
Right.
Well, it may not be like it's like a too like a very unique type of diet, but it's all about listening to your body's real voice rather than like a sweet craving. So when you want more sweet, okay, why not like take it less? Or why do I want that? Or
what's
am I
going on
really
right now?
want
Yeah.
right? So just
why don't I want broccoli?
Yes, and if you I got it, because there are some moments that you don't want to take that, and there might be reason why. Because when you go to the supermarket and just see the colors of the vegetable that comes up brighter, that's where I pick veggie. And that's my like way of intuitive, not a bad intuition, I should say, like emotional, but it's like, oh my, coming from
guiding
my
you,
gut,
right?
guiding me. And I'm going that for the energy. So I'm coming back to the energy type of thing. But everything that we can see just for the ease of perimenopause, why not go to the supermarket today and pick something that feels like really brighter?
Right.
in your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And try it for a few days and
Mm-hmm.
see how your level of fulfillment or appreciation of food changes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it's an interesting way to think about it because for me, going to the supermarket is a pain in the ass. Yeah. And I think most mothers or people who have to provide meals for their family all day, every day would probably say something similar like, oh my God, here I am at the supermarket again, going around with my trolley and I've forgotten something. I have to go back and, where's my list? Oh, I left it at home. So I don't remember anything. Not fun, right? But perhaps next time I go, I will take this alternative way of looking at the supermarket and go, what is looking bright and attractive to me in the supermarket today? What will I pick up? That
Yes.
sounds far more fun than my usual attitude of going to the supermarket.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing, because over the 30 years, I was so mesmerized with the food energy. I've been trusting and trying because my mentor also loved food and he enjoyed the food and chewing. And it's a kind of source of energy other than like breathing air. So
Right.
just like we want fresh oxygen into our body, we want to have something that is fulfilling to our gut. So it's
Yeah.
just think about the caveman age, right? Like once they have the meat or the thing that they have, like they are really
Excited, right?
enjoying, like excited. And this is wow,
Feeding
this is a
time.
kind of
Yep.
eating time. This is a most kind of wonderful experience
It
that
should
we
be,
can
right?
enjoy.
Yeah.
So I am so much into that, but I get it. I totally can imagine, because you have a kid and you have to take care of your family, so much list going on.
Mom, what's for dinner? Oh, I don't want to eat
Yeah, I
that.
don't want to.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But
Yeah.
if the parents, I see the parents started uh taking the food as something of the nourishment that energize you and enjoy that, then I see their kids starting to get more interest about food. It's not like a slow food. You don't need to cook for like hour. Like, no, I just cook like 10 minutes, quick. But if you just select the fresh one or the thing you love and just do the steaming or grilling for the 10 minutes, okay, I'm done. Right.
Yeah.
So it's my cooking is not delicate.
Sure, sure.
I'm like using my hand to chop down the veggies or that's wild. But it's up to you how much you would like to spend your time. But the important thing is selecting the right food for you.
Right. Interesting. I will be going to the supermarket tomorrow, so I
Yeah.
will attempt this and see how we
Yes.
go because I choose not to enjoy my supermarket shopping when I could choose to enjoy it, right? It's up to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's up to you. And what I'm not sure whether your listener feel the same way, but when I go out and travel outside of Japan, going to the United States or UK or whatever, and I visit a supermarket, but there's very like a limited choices of food. And especially in the United States, there's like a portion is so large, and there's a processed food, and there's a like a natural food corner is very
food corner.
yes, it's a pricey
Right, sure.
experience for them. So coming back to Japan, I love Japan. It's not because I was born here. I love the choices that I can make about food material. So that's why I will, because many of your listeners are living in Japan. Why not, like, you have a selection of food that you can pick for
and it's
yourself.
all best quality, top quality, isn't it? Absolute top quality.
Most of them are most of them, I should say, are safe. So top quality, the fresh food.
Yeah, very fresh. Yeah.
Yes,
exactly.
especially the fish or whatever. Yes.
We only have to go back home to remind ourselves of that you actually have to
Yeah.
carefully
So
choose your things because it might be rotten or, it might not
yes,
be
yes,
fresh, right?
of course. And
Yeah.
so do what works for you,
Mm.
but just to see that whenever you visit like a supermarket, it's for your own choice. I can make choices here
Hmm. Hmm.
with your own budget, of
Mm.
course,
Mm. Yeah.
and just
Very
be
good.
playful and see the difference. Ask your body whether it feels good.
Don't listen to the cravings though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm trying to retrain my gut microbiome that vegetables are yummy and let's enjoy vegetables because it's been a while, maybe a couple of years probably, of relying on sugar to get through the day. Just going from one hit to another hit of sugar just to get through the day and having those low blood sugar moments of feeling, I can't do
Yes,
anything,
I
I can't
get
think
it.
straight, whatever. Not fun. So, yes.
Yes. And one thing that might help you if you are like a sugar craver is a chocolate. No, the
Hmm.
cacao is
High
a yes,
content cacao
content. Yes,
chocolate.
cacao
Hmm.
chocolate. So just have a bite and feel what feel for you because I love chocolate. I love chocolate
Mm-hmm.
and I would select the less like sugar chocolate,
Mm.
but
Yeah, they
for the
have
right.
some ones in the supermarket like 70 to
Yes, yes, 70 at
86.
the percentage, right? You can
So above
just check
70
it.
you recommend or
Yes, I'm actually choosing this above 70, but it's
right.
like a depending on the manufacturer, the taste is different. But the good
Mm-hmm.
cacao tastes good, and
Mm.
I feel satisfied with a tiny portion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can get started with that.
Yeah, I think once you get into the 80s it's a little bit next level. Yeah, the chocolate we have in our house is 72 or something, I think.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes, yes,
And my
yes,
kids,
yeah.
my kids, I'm letting my kids have it because I thought it's good to get them used to this kind of taste. And yeah, it can't hurt to have a little bit of low sugar chocolate instead of the
Yes, yes.
high sugar one. Yeah.
And we can keep talking about the food, but what I often see for my clients get stuck mode is that they try a lot of like extreme type of diet program and they go in that's like only veggies, like, no meat or whatever. And they sometimes find that, okay, like rebound coming or the craving coming.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's, we want to find something that works for over the long term.
Yeah. Something that you can sustain, right? Because you
Sustain
can't
and
go back. You
feel
can't go back to the old ways.
satisfied because
Yeah.
we are living life at this moment.
Mm.
So just think about, okay, I would love to enjoy it. Like every food that I taste is fantastic, right? So I just want to share this type of perspective of having
Mm.
like enthusiasm of, okay, if I were to, I don't want to say that, but leave this planet for within a few years,
Mm.
then I would love to. What do you like to do? And then,
Yeah.
okay, I would love to enjoy this now.
Mm. Hmm.
It's
Interesting.
something you
Yeah.
can think about.
Okay. Yeah, I want to share something that I found yesterday on when I was scrolling Instagram. Anyway, so I'm from New Zealand. In New Zealand, we have our native people who are called Maori, and in Maori culture, the time when you go through menopause and finish menopause, you become what's called ruahine, which rua
Duahine.
means rua,
Rua.
rua, which
Mm-hmm.
means two, hine, which is woman or girl. So it's your second womanhood. Okay, so these women are revered. They are the wisdom givers, and to become Ruahine is a great privilege and a great, you're welcome to the special club. You can only get in
Wow,
once you've passed
amazing.
your menstruating years. And yeah, they are considered quite differently to what, how women are perceived or treated in Western culture. And also the way they think about Ruahine is it's not idolized, but it's a positive thing, right? Whereas we often look at menopause, perimenopause, and we don't even want to say the word, right? Nobody even wants to speak out those words, menopause, perimenopause. So I was thinking, oh, can we rebrand menopause to something else? But since I'm from New Zealand and using Maori language in our everyday spoken word is becoming increasingly more common year by year in New Zealand. So I'm going to borrow this term from New Zealand. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be great to just have a better term for this in English that we could use and enjoy using instead of menopause, which is incredibly clinical sounding and doesn't sound like much fun at all. Because I hear from some of my sisters who are, further down the journey from me that it's actually quite good on the other side once you get through all of those ups and downs of the fluctuations in the hormones, and you learn how to you learn to love this new you or this version of you, right?
Yes.
Or to work with your body instead of fighting your body, work together to be the second you, right? This sort of thing.
How beautiful. I love that Maori of that second life. What a beautiful wisdom.
That's been
on.
around for a long time. Yeah. So
yes. And I think Asian country also we have that philosophy of not how should I say it? Accepting and embracing, I should say, embracing what's happening, because we have experienced a season of life, but it's not like the hills are past. It's coming. The deeper level of understanding about yourself and your body and maybe this world. And now at a time you can share that beautiful glow with other people you love and for the next generation. So that's something of the role. And I love the fact that you mentioned about the words of the menopause. And I'm actually using the a menopause wonder in my YouTube channel.
Menopause wonder, right?
Because I think it's menopause, negative connotation. We have so much wonder in that period. So we might come up with more of the more fascinating fascinating term.
Or uplifting term.
Uplifting,
maybe.
yes, uplifting.
Yeah.
And I love to use the prime years of our life.
Right.
Because the level of maturity is different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm seeing the world through different eyes, definitely, thanks to this process. When I look at younger women who are in their sort of early 30s, and I'm like, wow, look at you with all your hormones intact. Isn't that great? But I feel more, even though, some days are very emotional or, because of what's going on, I still feel more stable and kind of grounded in where I am now at 43. Yes. Do I want to go back to 23? No, definitely not.
Definitely not.
But I would like some of that energy back. So that's something just the energy, the lack of energy that I used to have to do the things that I do. That's what I'm working on at the moment, is working with my body to bring back that energy so I can do the things I want to do. I want to go and play golf and enjoy myself, right? This is something that I'm doing, learning to play golf at 43,
wow.
If you do, right? I want to have the energy to enjoy doing it. I want to enjoy walking my dog instead of for the last few months, it's been shuffling around our walk together. Can we go? And I'm the one who's saying, can we go home now? And my dog's like, what? We haven't finished.
So cute. I love dogs.
Yeah. So thanks to my dog, I am doing some exercise. But that is what I'm focusing on now, is bringing back the energy to be able to do the things I love to do. and to be the parent I want to be, which is another thing. Like, I think my children have really suffered from having a mother who couldn't handle them, because not that they're not even badly behaved or anything. It's just, little fights. I'd be just like, I can't handle this. Can you go to your room and fight, or something, like something I could normally sort of sit through and say, well, there you go. It's sorted now, in a calm manner. I couldn't deal with. I couldn't even listen to music. It was too much. It was too much for me to listen to music. I just had to be in quiet silence, right? And so it's only in the last week or two that I can listen to music again and enjoy it and not find it stressful or annoying and things. So I'm thankful to be on the uptick now, instead of down in the dumps where I was a few weeks and months ago. But yeah, it took hitting kind of a rock bottom to really just say, look, something needs to happen. Let's go and get some help. Let's go and see a doctor. Let's see what they have to offer you. Try different things. Change your diet. Eat some damn vegetables. All those things, right? Yeah. So things are looking up, but yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations. I love to hear how you see the bottom and now you are starting to see something that works for you better.
Yeah.
And definitely for the vegetable, if you don't want to take it, just don't force it for a while. You won't die, of course, right? It's okay. It's okay.
Starting with what I like,
starting
right?
with the food,
easy ones.
Take a pick up. Because something of the forcing is having like a blockage of energy that I also teach. So everything that you think you should do, oh my goodness, just think about how much, the list. You remember the list we talked about? So okay, you sit in your quiet stillness and you feel better. That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, I guess it was what I needed at the time, but it's nice to be able to feel more normal again. Yeah.
Yes. And because of like all these aspects of life, that energy that brings up energy, it's not only about your diet, but the way you breathe or the way you visualize your future, all these coming alive. So I think we have come to a state of like, okay, what kind of self-care do I really need in this situation? So these kind of like a wheel, I call like an energy propeller, and I have like a 5 pillars. But those are the things, of course, you can see holistically on what's working and what's not working. Or maybe I can add a little bit of a pieces, because every woman is different. And we want to know to have like what works for you is the best.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that sounds like a great place for you to tell us more about how people can get in touch with you if they're like, yes, help, or actually I can feel this coming on and I want to get in front of it and I want to be doing the things that are going to help me move through this with more ease. How do I do it?
So I would invite you to take a look at your, like, what are you doing for your self-care? And that's why I'm actually creating, and maybe if this part episode is on live, you can have a link below to find the link below to get access to this free guide, to check in all these 5 pillars that I'm actually sharing at the first step to check in on your energy levels. And you can even improve that just to get to know, aware of that. So just starting from that free guide would help you feel more energized. And there's an opportunity for not relief, but getting more vitality. With all these, taking in the application of the daily little things. Like that, we talked about the food selection, of the breathing. I can go deeper and at the level of different level, but just to know that you might be holding your breath and check-in is a big thing too, right?
Right.
So I would invite you to do the to check my free guide. And I would love, my passion is to support women in doing their self-care and navigate this perimenopause or menopause season, as you mentioned, as like a second stage of our life. So that's I'm so passionate about, and I would love to connect with you. And on my social, I'm active on TikTok and also YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel called Menopause Wonder.
Yeah.
And there you can find some of the helpful videos for you. And if you are getting some really serious issues dealing with that and want to have a conversation with you, please let me know and let's connect, because I'm actually helping women very have a like a personal attention, because they're going through a lot of heavy things, and like hair folding or burning, mouth can't eat or whatever. And there's lots going on, but they are doing really well,
improving
after this, and with a simple natural healing process. So that's something you might want to check in.
Very good. We will link those things up in the show notes. So go and check those out if you would like to learn more from Miyako-san or get in touch with her. And yeah, you can find her YouTube channel and watch some of her other episodes that she has up there, and keep an eye on that for more coming soon, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm super excited to have this kind of self-care sisterhood.
Yeah.
And support each other.
Yeah.
Because it could be a long game, but it's like a next few decades of building your own life.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Miyako. I've really enjoyed hearing your perspective on this. Another different voice, and bringing some of these concepts into English for us to understand. That's very helpful, a lot easier than digging through it in Japanese, that's for sure. And living in Japan, just getting access to things in your own language can be difficult sometimes, especially if you don't live in Tokyo, like a lot of my listeners, like myself. Getting access to help in this kind of area in English is a real load off the mind, that's for sure. So I wish you all the best in your endeavors, and let's keep in touch.
Yes, thank you so much for having this in my interview and in your interview. And I got really excited. I got chills while having this conversation. Thank you so much for inspiring me too about this very beautiful word. I love that.
It's great, isn't it?
Yes, so much wisdom. I just truly respect wisdom. But thank you so much for a lot of inspirations.
So that was an interview with Miyako Hazama. I will link up in the show notes how you can get in touch with her if what she does sounds like it will be helpful for you. Having, being someone who was like, give me the HRT a few months ago, I'm actually learning more about how the brain does have quite a lot to say about what's happening with your body in your perimenopause. And some of the ideas that Miyako had sound like something I could implement tomorrow when I go to the supermarket and in my daily life, especially around food, because I've always been someone who's not really been that interested in food. And so why not be interested in food? Why not choose to be interested in food? That could be a really great learning that I will take away from that discussion. I really hope that helps you in whatever way that you need, whether it's to just get the confidence to go and see a doctor, to ask for something next time you're at the gynecologist. Just get some help. Don't wait around until it's so bad that you end up like me, seeing gray and just wanting to crawl in bed and stay there. So yeah, it's a whole new world I hear on the other side. So let's enjoy the process of getting there as much as we can. All right, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you've enjoyed this video version if you are watching, and we'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.